Daddy pulled out the knife and watched her fall to the ground. But instantly, his face changed from triumphant to regret. Then he started sobbing. Weeks later, Daddy decided to go to Carrie's grave. Just as he placed the white rosebuds, a hand snatched his wrist and used it as an anchor to pull herself out. She stared at him, blue eyes blazing, and wailed in a shrill voice, "Why, Daddy?" Daddy screamed and struggled to let go, but Carrie laughed hysterically. She yanked him closer, and he felt a pop in his shoulder. "Why?" she hissed. Daddy didn't answer. After shrieking in laughter for a second and then snapping his finger, Carrie screamed. "Why? I ask you a simple question and you don't answer. So I will ask again. Why did you kill me?" "I'm sorry. I'm sorry," he whimpered. And with that, Carrie let go, and just like the fool he was, Daddy believed that she was in peace. Weeks later, he went to Mommy's grave. Laying down the flowers, he passed Carrie's grave. The hand reached out and pulled his foot towards the stone. Daddy wailed in terror, and Carrie pulled him closer. This time, she was in her 5-year-old form. "I forgive you, Daddy," she shrieked and laughed hysterically. "I forgive you." Daddy was paralyzed in fear, and Carrie's mouth stretched grotesquely wide in a sinister smile. But the sides of the smile, they were cut. That's why the smile looked so terrible. And Carrie laughed at Daddy's horrified expression. Her bone-like arms grasped his throat. "We can be together, Daddy. We miss you so much," she crackled. Carrie pulled him towards the grave. "Together, Daddy, again, as a family." She laughed maniacally. Daddy grabbed a piece of glass from the ground and stabbed into her wrist, but no wound appeared. But Carrie still let out a blood-curdling shriek, and Daddy noticed the blood flowing from her chest wound he had made all those years ago. "You killed me again, Daddy!" she squeaked. But she wasn't sad. She wasn't mad. She was laughing shrilly, and with that, she disappeared. Daddy was terrified. He went to live in a senior center, and he swore never to go near the grave again. It had been years. Daddy never saw Carrie since that day. He had moved to a nicer house with a caretaker, but vengeance never ends until it is fulfilled. Daddy had found the basement on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, and when he turned on the lights, he met a horrifying sight. Carrie's body, with her limbs scattered everywhere, his wife's headless body in a guillotine, and worst of all, his stillborn daughter, the one who died in the hospital with his wife, pinned to the wall. The baby's eyes were gone. A knife pierced her neck and pinned her to the wall, and her face. Blood was pouring from her eye sockets, and a smile, just like the one that Carrie was wearing that day Daddy had killed her. again was carved into her face. But upon further explanation, Carrie and her mother's face were the same: empty eye sockets, carved smiles. Seconds later, Daddy's caretaker walked in. "I see you found my little trick. Happy April Fool's Day! Like it?" she asked. Daddy stared in horror. "Who are you? How could you do such a thing?" Suddenly, his caretaker's face convulsed. "You didn't like it?" she asked, pouting. Her face was rippling, and suddenly her voice changed to a shrill voice. "Why not, Daddy?" And Daddy was staring into the face of his daughter, Carrie, again. Then Daddy saw the basement walls, the bodies, everything disappeared, and then he found them in a forest with a gravestone. "But it's okay, Daddy. I forgive you. And now I want us to be together again." She laughed and pulled him into the ground. "Together, Daddy! Together!" she shrilled, repeating it over and over until the words were imprinted into his brain. "Together!" she screamed. Blackness was crowding in his mind. "As a family!" she shrieked and laughed hysterically. And just before his mind faded into darkness, Carrie leaned over and whispered, "But since you don't want us to be together, I guess I don't really forgive you."